allow the children. It's okay. It's okay. Off your mind. It's okay. She off your mind.
Chai! Now wow, people wey suppose talk truth to power don't off mic. And if we talk, now 500,000 they go summer us, call them hate speech. But fear not, my ego don't come. Him go torchlight every corner, nooks and cranny of all these bad people where they spoil our country. So my people make we laugh, oh, yo, yo. My ego don't come, oh, yo, yo. My people make we shout, oh, yo, yo. My ego don't come, oh, yo, yo. My ego don't come, man of the masses, oh, yo, yo. My ego don't come, oh, yo, yo. My ego diary politico, oh, yo, yo. My ego don't come, oh, yo, yo. This one not the off in mind, oh, yo, yo. My ego don't come, oh, yo, yo. Can in the touchlight every corner, oh, yo, yo. My ego don't come, oh, yo, yo. Okay, some people be they holla say they want the power. Chai, them be promise us say we go get light and power. Nah. Them hustle so they can't get the power. But now they know they do anything with the power. Sure. Every day, dollar just they get the higher power over naira. Still them talk say make we off mind. But thank God say my ego don't come. So my people make you laugh, oh, yo, yo. My ego don't come, oh, yo, yo. My people make we shout, oh, yo, yo. My ego don't come, oh, yo, yo. My ego don't come, man of the masses, oh, yo, yo. My ego don't come, oh, yo, yo. My ego diary politico, oh, yo, yo. My ego don't come, oh, yo, yo. This one not they off in mind, oh, yo, yo. My ego don't come, oh, yo, yo. Person where they do evil, no one make person talk. Them say that my yegun, that man too they talk. He do they talk. Say my yegun diary, he they hot like pepper. But every day then they take money in bulk. Woman picking, they the street they hawk. Still them talk say make we no talk. But thank God say my yegun don't come. So my people make you laugh, oh, yo, yo. My yegun don't come, oh, yo, yo. My people make you shout, oh, yo, yo. My yegun don't come, oh, yo, yo. My ego don't come, man of the masses, oh, yo, yo. My ego don't come, oh, yo, yo. My ego diary. My ego now I'm on, I'm on, do. My ego diary, my ego number one.
Hello there. Good morning to you, good afternoon to you, and good evening to you from wherever you are watching from. This is Mayegun Live.
Glory Facebook, glory YouTube. Mayegun Diary, Mayegun number one. Gbogbo bó ṣe ń lọ ni Mayegun dá wa sí. Mayegun Diary, Mayegun.
Thank you so much for joining me from wherever you are watching from. Of course, it is Mayegun Live. And at the same time, take your time to read the caption of the broadcast. Read the description as well. Share the broadcast. Like it if you haven't already. Just before we get started.
Mayegun Diary, diary politico. Mayegun Diary, Godfatherism. Mayegun Diary.
Thiefnubu and his 47 thieves. That is what you will brand them. No matter whatever mask they are wearing. You always remember this. Thiefnubu and his 47 thieves. 9 of them, they are the former governors of Nigeria. Also, those who said Thiefnubu knows how to discover talent. He will discover good, whatever it was, probably you were telling yourselves. Now we can see the technocrats. We can see the professionals. We can see all those who are coming to renew your shege. Please share the broadcast.
Story Facebook. Aiye Sulaki. Lórí YouTube. Aiye Sulaki. Ọba bá gbé wúrẹ́.
These are the technocrats. Hell Rufaya of Southern Kaduna. Were Wike of Rivers. Lalongi of Plateau. Oletola of Oshun. Matawale of Zamfara. Bagudu of Kebbi. Umahi of Ebonyi. And, of course, the remaining two. Our technocrats That's the one that announced, that's the one that will tell you that, yes, I am here. We are about to start. So good morning to you once again. Good afternoon to you. And good evening to you from wherever you are watching from. It is Mayegun live. Thank you so much for joining me again. And I welcome you to the Temple of Truth and to my TED Talk. As usual, my sermon. Well. For those who have kind of been in a way or two hoping that maybe Koolu will surprise them or shock them with the caliber of people that he will surround himself with, I don't know where that impression is coming from, other than from deluded mind of so many of these Lagos Abobakus. Leopard, they say, will never share the spot. Thiefnubu, a known career criminal, drug lord, will never surround himself with any other people than these characters. He has always been the way for him all his life. I mean, even when they try to polish themselves as who they are not, progressives, Democrats, and all that nonsense and jargons they call themselves. But when you pay attention very well to those around Thiefnubu, from the time immemorial, they have always been crooks, criminals, but they are very smart. They were always hiding behind whether they are pastors or they are lawyers and other useless profession that they never actually practice. But those are the fronts. When Thiefnubu captured Lagos, and then they turned Lagos into their private property, or private estates, or personal estates, where they are now sharing whoever they want, wherever to go to. It's been, when they captured, Thiefnubu didn't capture Lagos alone. You see, the likes of Dele Alakori was instrumental by ensuring that those hungry brown envelope journalists, opinion molders, those who kind of helped in shaping what a lot of you hold today as opinion about Thiefnubu, majority of them lies, bogus nonsense. He built Lagos. No, he didn't. In fact, if not for the likes of those who set the stage then, the lies, the propaganda, Dele Alakori, it was well rewarded. There was a like of a Pastor Ruga, fake Pastor Ruga, Ikene Shatabandu, Oshimbade. It was the Commissioner of Justice or whatever in Lagos State that helped in cementing all laws. You get what I mean? Like bills that turned to laws that finally cemented Thiefnubu's lifetime ownership of Lagos resources, at least. The landed properties of Lagos, how they turned around and became private landed properties of other people. Thiefnubu and his family. That didn't happen overnight. People helped him. Crooks, criminals, and as they were helping him, they were also being rewarded. That was the life of Thiefnubu. It's the life of a deal. You know what? Everybody has a price. That is the life of Thiefnubu. When people were packaging money given to judges to buy judgments, court judgments that turned some of them to governors and the rest of that outside the Lagos state, Thiefnubu was offering judges landed properties in Lagos. I'm talking about properties that some of them later turned into money worth billions of naira. Yes, I said it, and it's actually out there. Judges, policemen, security agents, accountants, this and that, local and foreign that helped him. He is surrounded by criminals. So the idea of having a technocrat coming around to work for Thiefnubu because technocrats built Lagos, Baba, let us tell ourselves the truth. Nigeria is worse. And guess what? Lagos State is considered the worst place to raise a child in 2022 in the world. The worst place to live or raise a child was Lagos State, among other cities in the world. Anyway, whatever that actually was, the Lagos State that he built has no public running water, has no regular electricity supply, has no motorable roads. Security is what? And that is the slum that they packaged, the likes of Alake, the lies and all that. It worked. What about the musicians? The musicians, they also gave money to sing his praises. And almost everywhere you turn to, these were part of the political conditioning that actually worked. That some of you who thought you are smart in 2023, a demented, sick rogue, Thiefnubu, a kleptomaniac, will suddenly change Nigeria, and you stood your ground. This is not even about those who were peddling the tribal, ethnic, and religious, and all of that. No. I'm going to leave all of you out for now. I'm talking about those who were so confident. We know what Thiefnubu did in Lagos. What did he do in Lagos? Now, finally, he has become the INEC president of Nigeria. Oh yeah, show yourself. Time to now show Nigeria what you did in Lagos. And the list started popping out. Out of since 24 years of democracy in Nigeria, the highest nominated ministerial nominees rather has always been about 43. Thiefnubu has appointed 47 people. The first list, the second list is out. And guess those who populated this? They are just your regular political rogues, opportunists, looters. Same, as they will say, same. But there are others who also stood out. 9 state governors. Majority of them, who have looted their states so blindly that even their own EFCC is going after them. But since you are going to be a minister, you will be immune from such a prosecution. 9 state governors. One of them, Bello Matawale, the governor of Zamfara. The guy who told you that Zamfara gold belonged to Zamfara, but Bayelsa oil belonged to Nigeria. The guy who supervised the incursion, the invasion of his own state by Fulani terrorists who chased away farmers because they wanted to dig gold. It became a serious thing that refugees from Zamfara alone, they are there. Now, this guy at a point, they were practicing what they said was Bokuwari's policy, the policy of repentant Boko Haram or repentant terrorist. This guy opened the vault of his own state, a state that contributes almost zero to Nigeria revenue that they always share every month anyway, contributes zero. This guy dipped his hand in the free allocation he got, and he shared 700 million naira to repentant terrorists. 4 months after that, things got bad, right? And guess what happened? The terrorists overpowered the state, and he came out to say they were deceived, that they thought the ceasefire that they signed with the terrorists and then the compensation they paid them will bring peace to Zamfara. 700 million naira of Zamfara state, poor states, of their resources was given to terrorists to buy more weapons. It didn't take long when this guy, to distract them, they started to display this gold, and it was like this gold bars, and it was like this as Zamfara gold, and it was keeping them in UAE, Dubai. But do you want to know the whole story? All the Zamfara gold that these terrorists gave to this guy that he displayed, most of them came from the farms that the owners of the farms have been killed or chased away in Zamfara, right? Nobody in Zamfara state, maybe not many, will be able to tell you which bank is keeping Zamfara gold in UAE. But guess what? Immediately after their election, he lost. He wanted to go for second term. He lost. All right. Now, the EFCC is going after him. They said that poor state, Zamfara, this guy stole 70 billion naira. I'm going to show you in face. But let me start telling you the story of the Thiefnubu and his 40 thieves. Those who are coming to renew your shege. Just in case if you care. Now, let us, you see, the one I'm talking about is the one under El Rufaya, the bottom left. That is Matawale. Now, this guy is wanted for 70 billion naira Zamfara money. But he's a minister now, so would the EFCC still go after him? When this guy left government house, he drove out over 70 cars, vehicles, government vehicles. He told them that the new governor that came in had to send DSS, police, soldiers, everybody to go and recover all those vehicles. And guess what happened, ladies and gentlemen? The court said they should return all of the vehicles to him. They belong to him. And that's exactly what they did. They returned everything back to him. Go to the one that is next to him. That is called Abubakar. His name is Abubakar Bagudu. This guy was Abacha's bag man. This guy alone helped Abacha to siphon over 10 billion US dollars of Nigeria money. So far, so good. This guy has released more than $2 billion of Abacha money. That's, and you know what the deal he made that eventually made him governor is that when APC, Egbekegbe were putting together all of the rogues that are coming to change Nigeria to what Nigeria has become now, right? This Bagudu guy came back to Nigeria. He was arrested in America, okay? He was transiting, and he was arrested for imposition of illicit money and all of that stuff. So the guy now made a deal. It was during Obasanjo time. So he made a deal that he would tell them where all of the money, where they are. But, number one, they will give him immunity from prosecution and investigation. Okay? Number two, they will give him 20% of the money that it will lead them to recover. But for the past 20 years, he's only able to help Nigeria recover probably 2 billion US dollars. And from that 2 billion, he got his own 20% of it, which is about $400 million. He got so much money and immunity that he became governor of Kebbi State under APC, Egbekegbe. And if you remember that time, they did what they call the lake rise. the scam they did with Lagos State, Lagos, Kebbi Rice. You remember that time? Lake Rice. Do you still see them today? Is also another rogue that is going to be hibernating under the wing of Thiefnubu. And guess what they do best? They steal, they loot, never to develop, all right? Never to create, okay? So the one that is next to that one is Devulumayi. Now, Devulumayi was once promised that he was going to be the next Igbo president after Buhari. So he left PDP to join them. This guy, I mean, he sacrificed his own people to prove to them that the Igbos are happy to stay in Nigeria, and anybody who is not is an enemy that they would deal with. The Nigeria shouldn't worry. He did all of that. Same thing with the one that is wearing a kete, that hat, Werewike. Now, that of Werewike is actually a recent crime. His own crime is like constitutional crime. He committed an electoral crime that should actually see him in jail. But no, he's going to be your minister. Okay? But before now, the person that succeeded Werewike in Rivers State, this guy was declared wanted. Instead of declaring Werewike wanted, they declared him wanted. Because why? The guy happened to be the accountant general of Rivers State. He was also the bagman for Werewike. So before the PDP primary election or what have you, they were investigating Werewike, and they discovered that, well, 420 billion naira of Rivers State money have disappeared. Even though the Rivers State people probably have no idea or clue of if any money is even missing or not. Because they actually have no idea how much money the Rivers State government has under Werewike. But they do know. So they were investigating the guy. I mean, they were investigating Werewike, but he had immunity. So if you had immunity, then they can't really do anything. So they went for the next person with no immunity. And that was the accountant general. 420 billion. Wike needed safety, needed protection after his tenure. And somehow, he got that from Koolu, Thiefnubu. So he overdid it. Like you all saw what happened during the election, Abi. He overdid it because his life actually depended on it. Okay? It was only Koolu that gave him the deal that he was ready to kill people for, and he actually killed people for. So the money, gone. And this is also a person coming to help you, with your renewed shege. I'm giving you their traits so that you have an idea. Then the one on the left, you know him very well. The El Rufaya of Kaduna. El Rufaya, a jihadist, okay? A religious fanatic, a cunning, deceitful, corrupt, rogue, and criminal. Manipulative, as they will say. But the highest of it is that is vindictive nature when it comes to power. The people of Southern Kaduna, they wrote the senator, please don't confirm this guy. We are so happy to see him gone. Giving him power again is going to be like giving this terrorist another opportunity to deal with those probably he couldn't deal with as governor. He managed to put his own stooge in place of himself. He rigged him in. We saw all that happened as well. Now, El Rufaya was the Senate, okay, where he was standing for confirmation. I'm going to share that with you. So, then let me show you others. Then you have, who is there again? You have Oletola, Thiefnubu's cousin, who lost the election in Osun. Then you have Lalong, the one from Plateau State. All right. This Lalong as well is also been investigated, right, for fraud and corruption as well. But he happened to be the Thiefnubu's campaign chairman or what have you. So he's safe. Okay. So these are the people who are, and then Badaru, yeah, that's the one with, Badaru is the one on the left there. Now, Badaru from Jigawa. All right. Jigawa is also is considered as one of the poorest of the poorest states in Nigeria right now. Okay. So this guy is also considered as one of those being investigated as well. But they will all be hibernating. They are the technocrats coming to fix Nigeria. Those who didn't make it is this, one of them is this guy, Gandollar, the Babariga mobile banking CEO. But what we heard is that Gandollar has been able to nominate 2 people inside the Thiefnubu's cabinet of ministers because they've penciled him down to be the chairman of APC, Egbekegbe. Now, Gandollar has been confirmed as the chairman of APC, Egbekegbe. Are you following these old names and all these guys? Oh? Because the reason why I'm actually, putting them one after the other, mentioning them one after the other, is to give you the clearer picture of people who are coming to deal with you, even though they will tell you they are coming to work with Thiefnubu and make Nigeria better. These people don't make anything better. You are about to witness the never seen before sleaze and haste. Sure you get? So that you will now grow up later and begin to say, how did we get here? Please remember that Mayegun kind of told you the characters coming and what they have done and what they will do to you. They never change. Unfortunately, they don't. But those who didn't make it, so if this one becomes their party chairman, you know what that means now? All right. But you see, they said that for Food Kayode, for some reason, initially they were waiting for the provisional list. After the first 28 names, they were waiting. So some people said that first 28 names was more or less like 14 Christians and 14 Muslims. But there were only 9 women. So how could you give, there were only 7 women. How could you just give 7 women out of 28? That is unfair. So for Food Kayode, started going soft. This is a guy who is married or was married then to an Igbo lady. They had wonderful kids, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful kids. You've seen his children, Abi, very beautiful kids. But when this election started, for Food Kayode, thrown all caution into the air. Common sense, dignity, respect, it thrown them off board. For Food Kayode went ballistic. At a point, people were asking, did he actually have something against the Igbos? Like, how could you be so self-hating that your own children, who are actually part Yoruba, partly Igbo, you don't care about them putting all these things out? Do you care if they grow up and eventually have to read all of these things? Did he care? Of course he didn't. So the saying contract changed to woman. It didn't change to woman. It is just that he got humbled, people said. And a lot of people were waiting to say maybe Koolu will consider him in the second batch. Now that Koolu has nominated 47 people, there is no for Food Kayode, there is no Frostos Utobo Keyamo, there is no Ezibida Onanuga. I don't know what they will still give them because there is more to give to them. But it seems that the more they delay, the less that is available compared to how these guys worked in spreading the rhetoric that has further divided Nigeria. And they are not stopping. I'll show you this few clips. Dele Alakori was being screened, and he was being screened to be a minister. So he was now talking about himself as a journalist, as this, as that, how they did in Lagos to tell people orientation, the mindset, blah, 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 blah. But do you know what really bothers him so much that I could really pick out of everything he said? Is that they are so scared of social media. Kilode. Why are they so scared of social media? I mean, you could tell they are so paranoid. I remember Layamo. Layamo of the blessed memory. Kolon Fonuke. When Layamo was still active before being deactivated by the powerful social media, Layamo was everywhere. But you know what really triggers them? They used to lie unchallenged. Remember, all these guys when pre-2015, they were celebrity on social media. Everything they said, people just they agree. Yes, it's true. Can you believe that Nigeria is losing 1 billion? Say, yeah, it's true. Do you know that $20 billion was lost? That $20 billion can build 20 universities, 20 kindergartens. Yeah, that's very true. Do you know that it is so easy to generate electricity? It's by just putting all of this, I better pass my neighbor generator. Put like 1,000 of them together and you get 1,000 megawatts. Wow, that's amazing. These are the people that should be ruling Nigeria. They were lying, making up nonsense. People were agreeing with them. Until people realized that they were so empty and they were so corrupt. That PDP was corrupt. You know what people said? I want to remember, there's a phrase we used to say then. They said, PDP came to establish corruption as a way of life in Nigeria under democratic rule. APC came to legalize it. You remember that phrase? It's a very popular phrase, so. And I bet I'm one of those who actually coined that. I kind of remember, it's been a long time. PDP came to establish corruption as a way of life. APC came to legalize it. So those things that usually kind of trigger you, get you angry. How can somebody steal 20 million naira? How can 40 million naira disappear? Omogao, 1.5 billion naira, one person will steal 1 billion. You know that time, when you used to get angry. They're supposed to kill these people. How can somebody steal 500 million naira? The money that can always today, you hear about billions and billions and billions. We are just like, and so with the Aram Jari, they're not going to do anything. Because they have come to legalize it. They are the one who can tell you what is a crime and what is not a crime. The popular, famous criminals, corrupt criminals, the moment they jumped into APC, they became the new. I mean, I actually felt sorry for some of you APC, members. Because you remember those days, when you used to wait for the time for Bukwari to be president, so that corrupt people, they can either run away or they will be in jail. You remember those times, those days, when the likes of Akume, the likes of Ojiuzo Koolu, the likes of who else? Akpabiole, the likes of who else is there again? All these corrupt people in PDP. Remember them? When you used to dream, man, I can't wait for Buhari to be president. Corrupt people will run away. All their properties, they will sell them. They will use them to fund education. They will use all the stolen property. They will use them to build roads. Remember? Until the criminals you thought would go to jail became your leaders in APC. I bet it back me. I mean, I'm just trying to remind you, Neil. When they said that those who you were expecting to go to jail, they ended up as your leaders. And suddenly you started singing, my friend, that nobody is clean. Everybody is the same. Everybody is the same. What really matters is what they can do for people. I say, alaye baje, weary. That was the moment they started carrying you handicap. Yeah, you, Lagos Abobakus, Buhari idiots. Yeah, that was when they started. The people you thought would go to jail, they became your leaders in APC. You started defending them. So Layamo came. It was like a professional. Let me tell you about legendary Keyamo. Keyamo was APC, Egbekegbe's spokesperson. It was their PRO. You understand what I mean? It was the one making all allegations. Laya Muhammad. Press conference, Laya Muhammad. They have written, Jonathan has written name of those they want to kill. My name is number 25. Rufai name is number 8. Keniko name is Keyamo will do press conference. Everybody go believe him. Oh, more. Jonathan was like, it got to a stage, they said, Jonathan was so evil, right? That Jonathan was drinking human blood with human head. That is such a drunk that they described Jonathan as a drunk that almost half of Nigeria believed that Jonathan was a drunk. That he would drink ogogoro. If Jonathan failed to appear at any meeting, international place that he goes to, Laya Muhammad would do press conference and say Jonathan got drunk in hotel. They were begging him to come out. He couldn't come out. That is why he didn't show up. This lie upon lie, lie upon. So they own everywhere. They were champions. So they got the power to the point that Baba man no lie you. These guys, they intimidated the president of Nigeria out of power. Jonathan got to a stage. Jonathan was like, she na power you want, yeah? Take him. I beg. They started the planting of this divisive politics, hatred, tribal this, tribal that. It was during Jonathan time they said that no Igbo man will become president of Nigeria again, that they made a mistake to give it to a Delta man. Now this guy, it got to a stage that they stoned Jonathan. People stoned Jonathan. You see this Boko Haram terrorism, Laya Muhammad and these people, they presented that Jonathan was using it to reduce the population of northern Nigeria. It's not that the soldiers of Nigeria cannot defeat the Boko Haram. It was Jonathan that was using it to reduce the population. And their people believed it. Sitting president, they stone him in Bauchi because of these guys. There's nothing these guys didn't defend. They defended the right of Boko Haram. They said attack on Boko Haram is attack on the northern Nigeria. That the Boko Haram are people who are angered because of bad government of Jonathan. That Jonathan should rather talk to them. This Keyamo and the rest, they were famous. Then they got the power. When they got the power, they realized that they have used their propaganda to set themselves a standard that they don't even match. Okay? And you can use propaganda to gain power. You cannot use propaganda to rule a country. No, you can't. And even if you want to use propaganda to rule a country, you must be doing very, very well. Like you must be doing good. Then you can add propaganda to it. But you cannot be stealing, looting, and killing people. And then still using propaganda. Blaming the people for everything that is happening, not yourself. So, they use social media to bully PDP and Jonathan. I won't forget, they used it. These young people then. We don't want PDP again. We don't. Anyway, the people turned against them in no time when they realized that they were so empty, full of lies, deceit, and blames. What did they do? They decided to burn the bridge. The bridge that they actually walked on to power. The same bridge that took them to power. Social media. They decided to burn it down. Because you know why? After the whole thing, politics is gone. It is now shop by shop. So they became friends. You know? It was like, but people were like expecting more. Where is the change? What is going on? What is that? So they turned to the social media. They wanted to burn it down. They said social media is evil. Social media is going to break Nigeria. There are people who are using social media to spread fake news. Guess who was spreading fake news? Boko Haram's government, Keyamo and the rest. Remember, they used to lie for free, and people believed them or just ignore them. Now they are in power. They still wanted to be lying. So people are challenging them. And they called that an attempt to turn Nigerians against government. So social media want to turn Nigerians against government. Social media that they used to bully the other government out now is now considered as an opposition, and it must go. Laya Mohammed did so many campaigns, spent so much money. We defeated him. Yes, we did. They were paying people peanuts to go and defend them on social media. We defeated them. You know what defeated them? The truth. You know, when you leave, or let me say, when you get to power through propaganda, you cannot rule with propaganda successfully. Not on social media. So they decided to make laws. I mean, laws to control social media. The Layamu and gang, at a point, they said they were looking for laws that would be like a light switch, where they can turn it off and turn it on anytime. They even had to ban Twitter in Nigeria at a point. All of this, they still got defeated. So it didn't work. Towards the end of their inglorious jihadist government, you know what they said? They said people didn't promote the work of Boko Haram very well. If people promoted what Boko Haram did, a lot of Nigeria will know that Boko Haram did well. Need 9 minutes. What did you do? That does not or did not reflect in the lives of the people, but rather made their lives even worse. That's the question. Now, another guy is now bragging. I gave you that background story because another lunatic, who is probably seeing himself as 007 for Koolu, Dele Alakori, was at the Senate screening, and he was telling them that he will use every fiber in him, every blood in him, to ensure that social media is regulated. And he gave his reasons. And to me, and to you, can we just tell him that he's welcome to the party? If you have any truth to share, they won't be debunked. But if you think that same way of a bullish and all of that is what you are bragging about, as a Fundele Allah Corridor is welcome to the party. They said that they wanted, they had a law they called the social media bill, hate speech law, and all other nonsense that they kind of tried, in gagging and controlling the speech of the people. Let me take you to their screening. Quick one.
My name remains Darlington Nwokocha. I represent the entire Nigeria, but Abia Central in particular. Mr. Nominee, I want to welcome you to the
for information and strategy. And that is why we brought the issue of strategy into information management. It is not just information management per se. However, I'll come to that later. So if we are able to put in the right infrastructure, electricity, access roads, the personnel that will even service those tourism ventures. These are all important. And I'm sure I don't need to tell you that you've been all over the world to tourism sites. You've seen the courteous nature of the tourism personnel or the sites personnel. They need training. We have to bring training on board for all our tourism ventures and sites. We have to put in the infrastructure. The infrastructure is not just the roads. I also mentioned the electricity, even the structures, even those sites, the way we design the sites. There's one place in...
So, now you have mentioned the things that need to be done for tourism to work. But you have not mentioned the initiatives that you are going to bring to bear, because you are not the one that will do the infrastructure. You propose those things to the Federal Executive Council. please attempt to answer the question of distinguished Senator Tambua and distinguished Senator Nengi, if you noted them down, so that we can now look at your colleagues, no, not your colleagues, we can look at your senators from Ekiti, Adaramodu, and the Senate leader, so that way, yes, I noticed that if you notice the way I'm going, I would like a situation whereby we have a spread. So we have this is minority leader. Your protest is noted. Okay, so just answer the other questions from my colleagues. Distinguished Senator Nengi, distinguished Senator Tambua. Well, because if you notice, I attempted to go towards Ekiti, but most of the speeches coming from there are full of accolades instead of questions. So I'm more interested in those who have questions for him. He wants to answer questions. He wants to answer questions.
Mr. President, sir. Exactly. So I need to start from the beginning. Yes. You're talking to him. I want to address him. I don't know which ones they asked. Their names are not there. Check the front. I don't know which one Bamboo asked. I just wrote the questions. Mr. Senate President, sir, I wrote down the questions. Yes, distinguished senators, the very first question by senator from Niger State is on the national image of Nigeria, that what would we do differently if I happen to be in that ministry, and especially our foreign image and local image. Now, again, my answer is very simple. There is no foreign image that can be ever good that is not contingent on domestic policies anywhere in the world. However much we burnish our image, engaging public relations practitioners and all that, is all money down the drain. I will not recommend that for Mr. President. What I will recommend for the president of this country is to concentrate on good governance within Nigeria. And once there is good governance within Nigeria, once our domestic policies are positive and responsive and responsible, the image of Nigeria will naturally shoot up. It's a kind of interrelated. So we are not going to embark on wasting money on burnishing image, polishing our image, when the domestic situation of Nigeria is nothing home to write about. So the first thing I would recommend is that our domestic policies must be right and must be people-oriented at all times. Thank you. On the second one is the social media regulation. Yes, there is some concern, not just here, but all over the world, but particularly in our own environment, about the pernicious nature of social media or effects. The social media has two sides. There is a positive side, there is the negative side, just like every human endeavor. Now, the positive side, we all know there's instant news. Whatever happens, you get it immediately, and then you can propagate your information widely at a very short time. And other things, you communicate faster with social media. However, the downside is so detrimental to good and decent society. What I will support is the strengthening of regulations. In my time as a journalist and as an editor for 10 years unbroken in this country, I discovered that there are laws that guide our conduct in every area of human endeavor. But the application of these laws have been short. In fact, even victims of libel cases, of aspersions, of defamation and all kinds of negative things in the media hesitate to also apply the law against the culprits. I have been on the editor's chair for several years, and the most important point to an editor is to avoid litigation. But the receiving public may not know it. But the public will not also seize the opportunity of applying the full weight of the law when there is infraction by any medium, whether social media or the newspaper or online or electronic. So I will recommend a strengthening of our regulations and application of those regulations. It is not just to enact laws, but the laws must also be tested. It is from testing.
Dele is coming to test the law of limitation. Any other thing he's coming with, tell him he is welcome to the party. Okay? Because we know the most they will do, I have said it before, Thiefnubu is coming for the media. They will still shut down social media in Nigeria. That a lot of you will have to end up using a VPN as you did the last time. They are going to come so brutal. These are old guys who are still living on that old times. And they are fighting the change that are taking place. The monopoly of information that they used to enjoy. That monopoly of information is no longer theirs. It's living in that generation that usually we say, to be a journalist, you know what it becomes to be a journalist, only for you to become a journalist and become a corrupt one that is helping the system to further manipulate the people, right? So the likes of Dele Alake and the rest of them like that, of that generation, they are those who are living in that past. So the war is between the past and the present. And he's welcome, okay? You should tell him he's welcome. It won't take long before we tear him into pieces as well. Both himself and Koolu, that he's probably coming out to come and work for, is welcome. Say it loud and clear. Because this is no longer the time where you can say, you can cook the lies, and you'll be surprised that the truth is actually out, even before your lie could fly. We are the jet age, like he said. The information you are cooking inside the corner of your room, video, audio, pictures, documents, they make their ways out to all of us in a jiffy. We don't come into your bedrooms. A lot of us don't come to your bedrooms. We don't come into your inner rooms. We don't come into the inner walls and all that. People around you end up having to release them to the public. And what do we do with them? So you're going to have to explain a lot. Omar, explain Taya. You will explain Taya. Dele Alake. Others were still asking him questions. Here is other part. Watch this.
My name remains Darlington Nwokocha. I represent the entire Nigeria, but Abia Central in particular. Mr. Nominee, I want to welcome you to the floor, but I want to make special reference to your resumes. Page 5, item 5. Mr. President, may I read? The item 5 says that you introduced the first ever Bill of Freedom of Information in Nigeria into the Lagos House of Assembly and went and went as far as conducting the first ever public hearing on the bill in Nigeria in 2005. That's barely 18 years ago. But I want to make reference to a certain provision in the Constitution, which I want you to take to recognize perfectly well. You have been in the media and information and communication space for decades. You may very well be familiar with Section 22 of 1999 Constitution as amended of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, to the fact that the press, the radio, television, and other agencies of the media shall at all times be free to hold government of the day to account for Nigerian people. We all witnessed how state authorities guard some media organizations in the last administration. How would the press freedom, considering that 18 years ago what you did, be guaranteed at the national space?
I actually thought you were about to give us examples of what happened in the First and Second Republic, that there were public hearings. And then you would have challenged him. But thank you for agreeing with him. Distinguished colleagues, there's the leader.
Mr. President, contrary to expectation, my point of order is not about extension of time. I will do that in another 3 minutes. My point of order, sir, is Order 52, Sub 4. And the reason it's important that I make this clear is that if I have a permission to read, sir, I would like to read. Mr. President. Order 52, Sub 4. A senator must confine his observations to the subject under discussion and may not introduce matter irrelevant thereto. Mr. President, it's important that we know, and I want to say this with due respect to the minority leader. He has been wonderful as a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and he has contributed very immensely to ensuring that proceedings on the floor have been meaningful. However, unfortunately, he appears to have brought politics into this thing by asking the nominee standing before us to recite any of the stanzas of the national anthem, which of course is a piece of cake. But because that had not been our tradition, and we have not done this to any of the other nominees, if I did not say this, I'm moving that question or request be expunged, because if it is not, and we rule that he will not recite it, it will look as if we had something to hide. It is irrelevant to the extent of the provisions of Order 52 Sub 4, and I so move, Mr. President.
Sorry, Okoyemi Bamidele is from Ekiti. So he was trying to say that they should not let Dele Alakori recite the national anthem. Okay, somebody said he should recite that. I think another person also asked that he called the obedient mad dogs or something like that. That how are they sure that he's going to treat all Nigerians equally with respect and all that stuff, blah, 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 blah. Those are part of the questions, but I call them out. But here is when Dele Alakori had more to say. Again, it's about social media and the media entirely, what they are going to do. And this time around, they spoke with passion first. And a Ekiti man who is trying to like fend, kind of guide him through all of that shark infested water. Somebody said, where are the Labour Party senators? a big question. I haven't seen them. When I do, I'll share. But take a look at this. Daily Alakori promising you what is still to come. All of you in the media, thank God, a lot of us are actually not in Nigeria. The people that are holding them in their jugula, a lot of us are not in Nigeria. So again, using the old bat eyes to look at what is today's challenges, the old hogs, the old arcs. They go meet us for a year. We go there. Let's go back in there, where he's passionately saying he will fight with every fiber in him. He will at it and dele. Logba lecture lo layamo. Okwakpa going to oblivion. You would too.
Not necessarily to sing songs. So your point of order is sustained. Senator Jimikuta.
Mr. President, standing at the chair of the Committee of the Whole, my name is David Yesu Jimkuta, representing the good people of Taraba South, Kororofa Kingdom. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, having gone through
Mr. President, I rise under Order 8, sub 3, to move for an extension of time to enable the Senate sit beyond 2 p.m. so that we can finish all items on our order paper. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. I rise to second the motion moved by the Leader of the Senate. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, the motion has been moved and seconded that these proceedings be extended beyond 2 p.m. Those in support of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Yes, Senator Jimikuta. And immediately after Senator Jimikuta, I would like to end with a kitty. So I'll go back to either Senator Adaramodu or the Senate Leader. But the Senate Leader has spoken enough. So Senator Adaramodu, after Senator Jimikuta, you say something, then he will answer so that we can go on to the next nominee.
Thank you, Mr. President. David Jimkuta, representing the good people of Taraba South, the headquarters of Kororofa Kingdom. Mr. President, having gone through his resume, I want to beg my distinguished colleague for the nominee to take a leave of the Senate. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Adaramodu.
Thank you. Yes, I will. Thank you, Mr. President, sitting as chair of the Committee of Whole. I'm Yemi Adaramodu, Senator from Ekiti South and from Ekiti State. In seconding the motion moved by my colleague, Senator Jimkuta, that the nominee who has answered very seriously and positively and progressively the questions posed to him. Ordinarily, I'm from Ekiti State. Not only that I'm from Ekiti State, he's from the other constituency, which I even represent in this Kano Chambers, that is the media. And we can see him. He's a media legend, he's a media avatar. He has been on it for a very long time. And when we look at the resume, we will be convinced that he's going to do a human. And then we even say it, that the taste of the pudding is in the eating. In Lagos State, with our president, as he was then the governor of Lagos State, Mr. Dila Alake was the mouth, he was the trumpet that made all the human, all the feats in Lagos State to be known by Nigerians. And if we give him a bigger trumpet to blow in Nigeria, in that wise, it's going to make Nigeria very proud, and it's going to blow the feet to the world, to the global space. And finally,
is from the land of honor, Ekiti State. He's an ambassador of honor, and he's not going to renege on that. I will even put it to him that the National Orientation Agency must be revived, because go by those days when we were hearing, if you are a teacher, teach well. If you are a worker, work well. If you are a driver, drive well. So the National Orientation Agency under you, I know that is going to grow more wings this time and fly our orientation to every nook and cranny of Nigeria. Mr. President, we are very grateful from Ekiti State, and we are happy with his nomination and his credit today. And we are very sure that this annual chamber is going to confirm him to become a minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you.
So, Mr. Nominee, Ekiti has spoken, and nobody can say that Ekiti has been marginalized in the proceedings. So, but there are still a few questions that you were itching to answer before you take leave of the Senate. So the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Senate President. The question which was asked from that side of the chambers on freedom of the press really touched me. And the man did a little bit of research, the distinguished senator, going back to 2005, when I was the first to bring a bill of Freedom of Information Act into the Lagos State House of Assembly, and did a public hearing, and it's all on record. And that exactly signposts my own deep convictions about press freedom in this country. Having been a practitioner, I am still a practitioner, because we have an aphorism in journalism that once a reporter, you are a reporter for life. And so I remain a reporter. And so the ideals, the tenets, the principles, the norms, and the morals of that profession, I am one of those who uphold it, who will uphold it assiduously with every sinew in my veins to make sure that press freedom is sustained in this country. However, to every privilege, there are responsibilities. I am not advocating an absolute press freedom without responsibilities. And I had a cause to say to some group of media men just a few days back that those of us who are gatekeepers, editors, managing directors, and all that, the gatekeepers have an onus on them. It behoves on them to regulate whatever comes out for the sanity of our society, because information is power. When information is irresponsibly purveyed, it can lead to cataclysmic events and destruction, chaos, social anomy in the society. So I am very, very vehement on responsibility aspect of the press, and I will uphold it to the very last atom of my breath. Thank you.
Said. So I wanted it to be said before I will stop the clip. If you are somebody who love Mayegun's show, right, then you must have no kind of a condition, so to say. You see all these clips, they are clips I personally selected, and I was going to share them. So if you are the type that is kind of like bored because you don't like their faces, then you just don't like Mayegun's show, all right? You can't have it both ways. You know, if you want to love Mayegun's show, then you probably have to just love everything that it comes, because they are not just random stuffs that I just drop them randomly. No, they are carefully selected, and you will just have to do with them, or you will just have to leave Mayegun's Diary Political. Unsubscribe. That saves you the breath. So you're going to see more of them, and you're going to see more extended videos like that. Okay, and if it's going to make you not to like Mayegun's show anymore, so be it. This is what I do for years. Do you understand? That's how it's always been. And you will have to like love it without condition. So I'm going to still share you more longer videos that you don't like. If you are those who like to complain, it is better you just leave now. Like, it's called buyers beware or something like that. Right? Now, Dele Alakori want to use every fiber in him. Okay? And it is good that it's going to be on record that he said that, so that every time he starts his actions, right, we can keep documenting them one after the other. Just same way. Do you understand? So, yeah, I've heard empty talks like that. I've heard word salad like that. But the reason why they call my platform The Diary is because I want to have them on record, on here. So that when you go back in years' time, you're not just going to hear it from my mouth. You're going to hear it from their mouth too, whether you like their faces or you don't like their faces. You just have to get used to them. And that's how it has been, and that's how it's going to be. Again, I'm going to take you to that of El Rufaya. El Rufaya and the damages is already caused in Southern Kaduna on record. The genocide in Southern Kaduna is more pronounced because El Rufaya never aid his own prejudice towards Christians as well as the people of Southern Kaduna. I don't know why. I wouldn't know. If you are elected as a governor of a state, I bet everybody in that state should be your responsibility, including their own safety, Abi. That wasn't the case of El Rufaya. I never hid it. So one of the things that the people of Kaduna were praying, Southern Kaduna were praying for, was that one day El Rufaya will leave that office. He will have no immunity, locally and internationally, and they can really go after him. And all of the crimes he perpetuated, including the genocide that took place in Southern Kaduna, but is he going to get punished? No, he's never going to get punished. He is going to be rewarded. So today, there were those who were speaking for him too. It wasn't yesterday. There were those who were speaking for him. And I want to have that on record too. Now listen, if you don't like El Rufaya's face as well, you can possibly just kind of, excuse yourselves. So my friends who are with those spanners, yeah, please, if you see anybody dropping that kind of repeated comment, like remove this person, please do me that favor. Help me remove that person and his comments, please. There are distractions. They do that a lot. They keep dropping it in the comments, okay? When you see anybody who keeps repeating that, please help me remove them. I'll also be watching. If you don't like his face at this point, please don't watch again, right? Let's go in there where they had their fire on seat as well, ladies and gentlemen.
Kind of in double jeopardy. At any point in time, we are out of subsidy of oil. But I'm happy that I had sometime in January or February this year, the federal government back out in the issue of paying subsidy to energy. So how do you intend to balance that? Because the generation, when it's sent to disco, the generation don't lose their money in any way. They go straight to get their funds from the guarantee given by the federal government, instead of guarantee given by the discourse. That's number two. The last one, Mr. President, the nominee is still on the discourse. We knew that the global practice, water, power is not a social kind of program given just for free. But in Nigeria, reverse is the case. We are looking at it as a social services, which is not. So this discourse in place, where I and you in those days, we have done a lot of work as a part of our responsibility in governance to improve the supply. But for them to take even a clerk who will be collecting funds for them to remit back to the generation, they are not doing it. And we know it can go on ultimatum that no need for any other person. As we're doing our phone, we're taking our phone in the house, you meet about 6 people with the telephone site, a minimum of at least 5,000, 6,000 per set. And also we recharge every week at least 300, 1,000.
President, I want to first thank the distinguished senators for the very warm remarks made on my person and on my public service record. I want to convey my gratitude to the Senate for this recognition. My brother, the distinguished senator from Zamfara State and our former chairman of the Governors Forum, asked 3 questions, all centered around the electricity supply industry. I will take them together because they are all connected. My brother asked about how do we ramp up generation and distribution. What do we do about the privatized discourse and the issues of subsidies and illiquidity around them, and the various guarantees that have so far costed the government more than 1.6 trillion after privatization. Your Excellencies, the electricity supply situation in Nigeria has defied every government for 60 years. It has defied every president. President Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is committed to ensuring that Nigeria has stable and reliable electricity supply. Because without electricity, industrialization is a pipe dream. Without electricity, even agriculture today is not a viable proposition. So he's committed to that, and he has asked me to work with him to address these problems. And I will do my best to do so. Your Excellencies, right now Nigeria has about 13,000 megawatts of installed generation capacity, but we hardly do more than 4,000 or 5,000 megawatts. So to improve generation, the first order of business is to look at what is constraining the full production of electricity from these 13,000 megawatts. Why do we have 13,000 installed and only 4,000 or 5,000 being produced? Many of the generation stations cannot produce because of poor supply of gas. 80% of our generation is from gas, and the balance is hydro. The gas-fired stations often don't have supply of gas. There are power stations that have been completed 2 or 3 years ago, and they have produced nothing because there is no gas supply. So that's another thing that must be addressed. We must ensure that gas and power are together under one roof for this issue of gas supply, which has persisted for over 20 years, to be resolved. But Your Excellency, even if we are able to generate 13,000 megawatts today, our transmission infrastructure can only do 5,000, maybe 6,000 at best. So the second major constraint in electricity supply in Nigeria is the transmission infrastructure. We need to close the loop in our transmission system so that the 13 system collapses we had in 2022 are not repeated again in our history. And this can be done. There is money to expand the transmission infrastructure. We just need to organize ourselves, remove politics from transmission procurement, and focus on improving our transmission infrastructure. The third problem is distribution. In 2013, we work with you to build a Nigeria that is not corrupt.
I bring you a message of hope.
We are going to spend a lot of resources on education.
We will work with you.
Thank you. So El Rufaya rolling out those numbers, I wanted him to say what he said when I stopped that clip. When he said, after all the numbers and all the jargons there, right? Then he said, there is money. But if we can remove politics from it, from electricity generation and distribution in Nigeria, Nigerians will have power. What is that politics? The politics is that you will be reading about the unbundling of electricity, this privatization of this or that, all lies. When it comes to distribution, the Nigerian system prioritize northern Nigeria more than the more industrialized south. So they will tell you, you will generate electricity from southern Nigeria and they will move it straight to up north. They generate electricity from up north. They shed them right there in northern Nigeria. So load shedding is more common in southern Nigeria than northern Nigeria. So you get that now. And it is all politics of power. Okay? The northern Nigeria will have more electricity, even though the most industrialized part of Nigeria is in the south. That actually needed the electricity even more. The most populated part of Nigeria is in the southern Nigeria. But the politics that is always saying the north is more, has made it easier for them to shed all this on to that part of Nigeria, and the rest can go in darkness. So he mentioned it, and that alone is a signal to tell you that if you are smart enough, forget about all other things he was saying in there, right? That tells you everything you need to know, because nothing changes when it comes to the political intention of underdeveloping Nigeria or looting Nigeria. It is their way. It is politics. And that's why a lot of people don't kind of fancy their words. And I understand that. But don't tell me to take them off, okay? Don't tell me to always take them because you don't like their faces. They are part of the story. Listen to what they are saying. Hold them to it. So that even if they have to ask you why you are angry, at least you can have something to say, well, I'm angry because of this, and that are mostly on facts. So help you God. Anyway, here is another one. Look at this lady. She is a Dr. Vaire. She was doing housemanship, okay, at a general hospital in Lagos Island. Now, almost 2 weeks to the end of that housemanship, she had an accident in a faulty elevator in Lagos, right? So they said this the lift in this building has been faulty for months, and it's been reported for months. Nothing was done about this. Now, yesterday or so, the lady had an accident in that same lift when the lift lost its control from the 10th floor. And imagine you being in a lift that has lost its control and smashed to the ground. When it finally hit the ground, like, you know, people die right away. She didn't. So they rushed her to the same general hospital, the general hospital that she works or so. When they got there, they said there was no blood. She's lost so much blood that a doctor, right, couldn't get a blood transfusion to save her. She died. And do you know what so our colleagues and everybody, they were so angry, enraged. And they started complaining, started protesting. Seriously, like, you know. And do you know what the wife of the governor of Lagos said to say to this? Well, before GMD, the group medical director or so of that same general hospital, when she met with the protesters, she told them that they should protest mindfully. That they should be careful of what they say or do because of this, what happened though. They should protest mindfully and watch their mouth. When the wife of the governor of Lagos State, Ibirunke, got to the same scene, and then she was addressing them, Pastor Mrs. Ibirunke said, that it was something that has to do with, spiritual arrow. That's what killed her. Spiritual arrow in a faulty lift, from the wife of a governor of the state. That is not shocking.
Rejoicing. An arrow has been fired into the health family. 1st of August is a day I will never forget. The same day, a crashed. The same day, a lift dropped down. How? How? Rejoicing. And arrow.
The 1st of August, if you look at it in the spiritual realm, the 1st of August is a very kinikon. Helicopter crashed. Do you know that there are still so many other plane crashes that you're going to witness in Nigeria very soon? And it has nothing to do with spiritual or what have you. Your aviation sector is so corrupt, very, very deeply corrupt, that they have been passing on what should have been professional inspection or investigation and approval and the rest of that before they can let them actually fly. All those clearance, health check, and all of these things, they have all been compromised. And to make it worse, some of them are unable to even pay their pilots anymore. Now, all of these are going on behind the scene, and they are still loading all of you inside their planes. Just wait for it. They will tell you it's probably the spiritual this and that. Corruption destroys. Corruption kills. And you know that is exactly what is killing Nigerians. Corruption. Because the consequences of corruption is death. When you have a faulty lift, all right, it shouldn't be used until it is fixed. When somebody who should be responsible for that is not, when the money that is supposed to be used for maintenance has been spent, and they ask people to manage, just manage, it's still working. It's working now. Get inside, it's working. See, it's working again. Corruption. So one day, people are going to lose their lives. Right? Corruption, where people who are meant to build and equip hospitals for you chose to spend the money and steal the money. So the consequences of that is that one day you're going to need something from that same hospital. And they will not be there. And this might be little things that would need to save your life. Can you even believe that? They had no blood in their bank there for a doctor. And she died just because she's lost so much blood. She didn't even die in the lift. Then somebody's going to turn around and say, maybe that's just what God wanted it to be. Sometimes nothing will happen without the notice of God. They are actually making you feel like justifying the failure of the system, and they blame that on God just so you can what? Feel better? So they say it's arrow. Maybe they shoot an arrow, evil arrow. That is why the arrow hits the lift. And when the arrow hits the lift lost its control, smashed. And she was rushed to the hospital. So the arrow was still there, pierced through their blood bank. Maybe the arrow drank all the blood that could save her. It's still the arrow of evil people, not the corruption of the evil humans who are actually physical. Anyway, let's go to another one. Meanwhile, let me say thank you to all of us who are kind of still here, that followed the invasion of Niger that is currently brewing. There are other updates too. So they're currently asking that they should, if possible, de-escalate what's going on in Niger Republic. However, the Nigerian Defense Headquarters said they are just on alert. They haven't been given the go-ahead to invade the Niger Republic. Now, Senegal is said to be warming up that they would defend, they will fight if there's any military intervention in Niger. So Russia too, who said they didn't support the coup and all that, have also advised against any military invasion in Niger. And the Wagner's group have said that they are willing to also fight there. So a lot of these are kind of like popping up here and there. And Abdusalami Abubakar and his team were seen in Niamey today trying to talk to the junta, just on the side. their effort is to see if they could if they can de-escalate the whole thing, that it won't lead to real war. But if it eventually has to lead to any military intervention, this is this is kind of an information tool. I mean, for all of you who are from the core Sharia states in northern Nigeria, okay, you are likely going to also be kind of affected too, because you are those who share border with them. You know, Borno, Sokoto, Katsina, you know, I think it's about 7 of them. Niger as well, right? So these are areas where when the bombs start going off, right, you are likely going to be either seeing the refugees running towards you, or you yourself will be running towards the south when the whole thing kicks off. But let's hope they will de-escalate it and let them know that it's none of Nigerians' business. So one of them said the reason why they want to fight is because that these French-speaking West African countries, right, where you have all this military coup, they said they have formed their own bloc. They were supposed to be ECOWAS, but they formed their own bloc to be outside ECOWAS. So their own bloc right now is now trying to test the power of ECOWAS. And as Nigeria is the head of the ECOWAS, they can't let that happen. That for years now, all these French-speaking West African countries they believe that they could do whatever they want and ECOWAS will do nothing. So Thiefnubu will not let that happen. That's why they are on standby. That's their reason, okay? They said they won't let this group of African countries to sort of you know, ride the roughshod on ECOWAS. So I was like, waiting concern Nigeria. What's Nigeria's business? Others said that no reasonable democratic country will allow any any military whatever government around their, you know, like their border. I was like, okay, don't share what we really not today. Anyway, start the war so that we can see where that indeed will lead to, right? So going forward, again, ladies and gentlemen, I'm picking them one by one, right? So here is no, hang on. Okay, I'm going to use this as a little break. Okay, so 2 days ago, yes, or 3 days ago, the PDP, Labour, and the rest of them, they kind of closed their case against the Thiefnubu. But today, they were saying, I mean, Peter Obi's lawyers and the legal team were saying, during Thanksgiving, that they have done all that they believe to prove that he won the election. So they wait on the judiciary, as everybody is saying, all eyes on the judiciary. I'll show you that and I'll go to the next one. Because the next one is that, ladies and gentlemen, brethren, they have also captured they've captured another vessel, stealing Nigeria crude oil. Another story. But let's go sing Praise the Lord here first.
Thanksgiving at Holy Trinity Catholic Church, my family.
What shall I say unto the Lord?
Yes, Lord.
All I have to say,
Thank you, Lord.
What shall I say unto the Lord?
Yes, Lord.
All I have to say,
Thank you, Lord.
what
shall I say? Thank you,
Yes, thank you, Lord. Leshe bo 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 sri bo bo bo. I mean, we all followed the court case, and it is worth a bit of a thanksgiving too. No offense, so look at this man. That is Gandollar, the new chairman of APC, Egbekegbe. And as you have a Muslim president and vice, now you have a Muslim chairman and secretary too. I mean, they are not loud in it, or they're not making it loud, what have you. But Gandollar, Baba Riga Mobile Banking CEO, Baba, like, somebody will be like, say, I mean, I am APC. And this, I mean, like, people, okay, I don't know. I'll leave it at that. So, congratulations to Gandollar. Congratulations to all of you. What do you call yourself again? Bat idiots. The bat idiots. As you welcome Gandollar as your new chairman. Meanwhile, guys, yesterday, somewhere around Koko, I've been at Koko in Delta State. Government Polo or Tompolo, government Tompolo, and his own private security, right? You remember that they are the ones who are given the contracts, okay, to parade the Nigeria water and guide the pipelines. Yesterday they were on their own operation and they just saw this Nigerian naval boat, and at the back of it is this massive vessel with Italian flag on it. With Togolese flag on it. Waiting Togo vessel they find for Nigeria water. And why does it look like a vessel carrying the crude oil? So they approached it. As they are approaching, the Nigerian naval ship boats ahead, they opened fire on them. Nigerian naval boats, Nigerian Navy, they were guiding stolen crude oil in a foreign vessel on Nigeria water, out of Nigeria water. So there you have the answer. Those who are stealing the crude oil and those who are aiding and abetting them. But would you ever believe it in your own widest imagination that militants will be arresting naval officers for stealing crude oil? And that is why a lot of people believe that Nigeria is not real. Nigeria is not a real place. When you listen to some of the happenings there, the best you can tell yourself is that this is not a real place, because it's not a real place. And when they finally arrested the vessel, which you probably will read in a day or two, they will tell you they have destroyed it. That's what they do. They say they destroyed the evidence. Because those who are supposed to save and protect Nigeria, they are those who are actually like selling Nigeria off. And how do you even change that? I don't know. It's exhausting, isn't it? Now, Nigeria got saved by the militant leader on a 4 billion naira a month contract. Well, that's a lot of money. 4 billion naira a month. Wow. So Tompolo and his guys, they are making over 480 billion naira doing the job that the Nigerian Navy, Nigerian military should be doing or are being paid to do. Nigeria is not a real place. I'll keep telling you. So we believe that, you know, all of these are pointing to one single thing. When Nigeria, or let me say, as Nigeria continues in this trajectory, the characters that are sort of a grouping or coming together to start taking their own space and place. There is one explanation I also want to add. In case if you have no idea, when I said Thiefnubu and his 47 thieves, okay? Thiefnubu is going to create new ministries, right? That they're going to put people in as ministers, okay? Now, let's use this template of how much money you are using to sort of take care of the National Assembly members. Now, ordinarily or averagely, a senator in Nigeria will go home legally and illegally with over 30 million naira every month, right? But you see, a senator, when you say senator, you have about 109 of them. And as House of Representatives member will probably go home with at least 20 million to 25 million naira. Now you have 360 of them. That's a lot of money, okay? Now let's do it like this. So if you have 30 million for 100 people, that's going to be like 3 billion, Abi? Somehow, 3 billion. So plus 9 people, 270. Maybe you can say 3.2 or 3.3 billion naira. That's what those guys takes every month in the Senate. When you break that of those in the House of Representatives and the rest of them with all this free money, it probably will come around there, maybe 7-8 billion. Okay, for them, by the time you add everything together, so the House of Representatives, the Senate, right, every month, they have a way of milking at least 15 billion naira from the government covers that they pay themselves. And that's a lot of money. Abi, the difference between them and these thieves, I explain them to you. First, I'll give you an example of what an individual senator, individual minister can actually do in a space where corruption is going to be the order of the day. If a man, the lifeless may guard, Bokwari, that they told you was coming to fight corruption, could actually oversee the worst set of corrupt criminals that ever existed in Nigeria history, as corrupt as Nigeria has been, right? Then you can think and only imagine what it is going to be like around Koolu, all right? The career drug lord, the career kleptomaniac criminal himself. Just imagine it. I'll give you one example. Under Bokwari, we have ministers who were like in a single calendar year that are milking over 100 billion of your money that they have to siphon in different ways that actually comes out of their own, in a year. So by the time you realize what actually goes into the cover of that same minister, you realize that one single minister is in a position to actually loot the entire resources that these guys are going to share in a single month, right? Or in a single year. One single person can loot all of that. And that is just one minister. Adis Erika, who sold you, remember the one who sold you the Air Nigeria. That logo and the launching and the story around here Nigeria, the whole thing cost Nigeria 24 billion naira. 24 billion naira. People don't see anything, no. Last now, painted plane from Ethiopia they brought to Nigeria as Nigeria Air. You remember that? Even before he brought the plane, this same guy single-handedly spent 14 billion naira to buy 14 fire truck, 1 billion naira per truck. That's how much. And he did all of this just a few months before the end of their tenure. These are the last hour rush, the one that, caught the eyes of the people. So imagine what they do. They have something called the budget padding. This is where the camaraderie relationship actually really becomes a sort of, profitable for them. So Every ministry have their own ghost workers that they pay. They take their money out for, but they don't pay them. They pay themselves. They have all these budgets that they write bogusly, only just because they, you know what I mean, have to include their own share in that. Then the senators, the reps, and the rest of them will also add theirs. It's called budget padding. You read about billions and billions of money being budgeted for so many things. But all those things never come to reality or abandoned. This is where they scrape all of whatever they can scrape. And then you realize they go to church and do Thanksgiving when they get appointed as ministers because you are going to be a billionaire. And most of the time, they love places where they can actually, there are places they call the desert. There are places they call the, where food day. So the bottom line is this, that those before Thiefnubu, they managed to keep the number at least around 40. Koolu has listed at 47, the highest ever. Okay? And I don't think he has stopped because he is planning to create some new ministries. He said it already. It is compensation time. No technical or what do you call technocrat is coming. Nigeria is going through hell right now. Economically, Nigeria is down. Boko Haram destroyed Nigeria to the point that Nigeria is using 98% of their revenue to service debt, which means there is no more. So these guys are not creating any new avenue for any new revenue. No, they are not. They are indeed just trying to scrape whatever they can and further stifle a lot of you who still pay those taxes. And in the process, they are creating a balloon government. Nigeria has no money, but they don't care. You will bear the brunt. So instead of cutting down the cost of governance, reducing all these portfolios and all that, no. People have to be compensated, and you would have to bear the cost. So at the end of the day, a country that needs almost any resources they can lay hands on now to combat and fight economic poverty and all that right now, that same country is creating portfolio that will continue to expend their resources on recurrent expenditures. Ladies and gentlemen, we watched it in the last 8 years. APC, budget after budget, year after year, recurrent expenditure, salaries, emoluments, packages, and the rest of that for these criminals are more than the budgets for education, healthcare, infrastructure, and even the economy. We have seen that happen again and again. Job for the boys in a poor country where all of them will need their own convoy. They will need their own bulletproof cars. They will need, there is no end to this. The one way where this is going to end is that when they crumble and crash, your criminal leaders that you see today, those ones you think are untouchable, they will begin to find a way to escape from Nigeria. That time is almost near. I have been told, maybe you didn't know that, I didn't myself, that there are actually there are so many secret airfields in Nigeria. You want me to explain that? They're like private airfields built by these criminals. They have already built their escape routes if things go south. That means most of their private jet and the rest of them, they are docked in some of these their private islands across Nigeria. Find them, discover them. In fact, a lot of them will begin to come to light soon. You see this trajectory where they are taking all of this madness to, and those who are coming in to renew your shege, and those who are coming to bully you with the power they think they have, man, tell them they cannot be as smart as Boko Haram. And as smart as Boko Haram was, we humbled him, and he became exactly what he was meant to be. Okay? A tyrant, clueless tyrant, a dictator, right? And also a criminal, a kleptomaniac plutocrat, right? Who only came to do 3 things. Yeah, they came to steal, they came to destroy, and they came to kill. APC, Egbekegbe. So, I'm giving you this heads up, right? If you are building any sort of expectation, I will continue to bust that bubble. Because you need to build the expectation on people you know their track records. People don't change. Do you understand? Right? But yeah, they unravel. But you see these characters whose career and life is politics and what they have earned from it. They've not given anything back, have they? They've always been taken and taken and taken. There is no trait or sign that they are going to stop that. So you have to feed them more and you would have to bear the brunt more. So if things continue like this is not a good trajectory. It is not a time where somebody is going to come in and start, bombarding us with all kind of, intimidation, lies, bullying, because you think you have that power, right? If you want to use propaganda to run a country, you must also at least do good. Okay? So thank you. I was going to take calls, but I'm thinking I should move that till next time, where we can have a proper full house convo. So thank you so much for your time. And again, thanks for coming to my TED Talk. All right? If you are looking for any good news from Nigeria, you can make one up yourself, okay? The only good news that's coming from Nigeria is that somebody is bringing you the truth that is happening in Nigeria. That's the good news. But if you are looking for any sort of any good news and all that, I advise you, turn on your Netflix. When it comes to that of Nigeria, it is real life issue. It is not a cloud. Every event, everything that happened that is reported, ladies and gentlemen, there is always one life or more that is being affected. So if you want something that should entertain you, good news, just £10, you can have a Netflix. And there are so many things that can share you up there. But if you want to be real, where things are real, happening, yeah, you can watch Mayegun's Diary Political. And with that, you probably will have an idea where you really belong. I have said it before many times, just before I go. No matter where you belong to in this whole contraption, whether you are in or you are out, all right? Whether you are for or you are against, listen to me. Until the day everybody knows that we are all victims of these criminals and all they are doing, right? We are all victims in the sense that nobody is spared. None of us is spared from the consequences of all this bad leadership and bad governance. You know that? Whether you bleed for them, right? Or you hunt for them, it doesn't really matter. Until the day all of us realizes that there is no Yoruba, there is no Igbo, there is no Hausa, there is no Fulani, there is no Igede, there is no Igala, there is no Efik, there is no Ijo, there is no all this that you want to be identified as when it comes to Nigeria and the victimhood that we all are of, right? There is no Christian, there is no Muslim, there is no traditionalist or atheist. Listen, some said it's class war. I kind of partly agree. But when you want to really live in the reality, you also know that even those who thought they were rich or kind of above board of the consequences of all of these things are beginning to realize that they are not spared. I mean, those who live abroad knows that they are not spared. We all live on a borrowed time. And I will remind you, okay? When it comes to Nigeria, it doesn't matter where you belong, right? Yesterday's survivors are today's victims. You see those who are surviving, who survived today, they are tomorrow's victims. You and I, who have been surviving day after day, we are only disasters, or what do you call it, disasters waiting to happen. And as it is always the case, when this hasn't happened to me, if it's not happening to me, maybe it is not even happening. Maybe it's just an exaggeration, okay? But you see that day when everybody realizes that we have a common enemy, and that is the establishment, who have no religion, no tribe, no class, no culture, no nothing. These guys they relate with themselves. They are from every part of Nigeria. They are from your tribe. They are from mine. They are from your religion. They are from me, who has no religion as well. A lot of them, when it comes to, but they have something in common. They are united in their evil. From the north to south, to east to west, to central, whatever. We are all victims of this failed country. The characters who failed Nigeria and Nigerians, although they didn't do it themselves alone. A lot of you are collaborators. But unfortunately, the day, you see that day that you watch Mayegun and you look at me and say, Mayegun, I think I have realized what you've been saying. The only one common enemy who actually has contributed to everything that everybody is complaining about today in every part of Nigeria. They are those who once promised you that they will make your life better. So until that day, I will never stop talking then, all right? So thank you for coming to my TED Talk again. I will see you some other time. Now, until then, please don't leave without liking the broadcast. And subscribe if you can, or if you haven't already. So good night.
Mayegun làwa mọ̀ làmọ̀ tó dòdòdò. Mayegun Diary Ayíbi #1. Mayegun làwa mọ̀ làmọ̀ tó dòdòdò. Mayegun Diary Ayíbi #1. Mayegun ti dé o ọ̀rẹ́ ara ìlú. Mayegun Diary Ayíbi #1. Lórí Facebook lórí YouTube. Mayegun Diary Ayíbi #1. Gbogbo bó ṣe ń lọ ni Mayegun já wa sí. Mayegun Diary Ayíbi #1. Àṣírí ọ̀jẹ̀lú kì í bò níbẹ̀ o. Mayegun Diary Ayíbi #1. Bó bá ṣe eré àní Mayegun máa wí. Mayegun Diary Ayíbi #1. Ó sì tún ṣe eré wàá gbọ́ níbẹ̀ o. Mayegun Diary Ayíbi #1. Mayegun Diary politico. Mayegun Diary Ayíbi #1. Godfatherism kò sí lọ́rọ̀ Mayegun. Mayegun Diary Ayíbi #1. Ẹ farabalẹ̀ sẹ́ o kẹgọ́rọ̀ lẹ́nu o. Mayegun Diary Ayíbi #1. Àní Mayegun làwa mọ̀ tó dòdòdò. Mayegun Diary Ayíbi #1. Àní ẹ̀sùn rákì. Mayegun ti dé. Mayegun ti dé. Ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn rákì. Mayegun ti dé. Àní ẹ̀sùn rákì. Mayegun ti dé. Lórí Facebook. Mayegun ti dé. Àní ẹ̀sùn rákì. Mayegun ti dé. Lórí YouTube. Mayegun ti dé. Àní ẹ̀sùn rákì. Mayegun ti dé. Bọ́ bàbá gbé wúrẹ́. Mayegun máa wí. Àní ẹ̀sùn rákì. Mayegun ti dé. Ijó ìgbádìyẹ. Mayegun máa wí. Àní ẹ̀sùn rákì. Mayegun ti dé. Bí pẹ̀sìdó bá rúfin o. Mayegun máa wí. Àní ẹ̀sùn rákì. Mayegun ti dé. Bí gómìnà kówó jẹ. Mayegun máa wí. Àní ẹ̀sùn rákì. Mayegun ti dé. Ọlọ́pàá ti ń darí bá. Mayegun máa wí. Àní ẹ̀sùn rákì. Mayegun ti dé. Aṣòfin tí ń rúfin o. Mayegun máa wí. Àní ẹ̀sùn rákì. Mayegun ti dé. Òpùrọ́ olóṣèlú. Mayegun máa wí. Àní ẹ̀sùn rákì. Mayegun ti dé. Ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn rákì. Mayegun ti dé. Àní ẹ̀sùn rákì. Mayegun ti dé. Mayegun ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn rákì. Mayegun ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn rákì. Ṣùgbọ́n ní bá ti ṣe èyí tó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe, ọmọ bá dèrò ní fi wọ́n níran o. Mayegun ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn rákì. Mayegun ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn rákì. Ṣùgbọ́n ní bá ti ṣe èyí tó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe, ọmọ bá dèrò ní fi wọ́n níran. Wọ́n fowó bẹ́ẹ̀ o. Mayegun ó sọ pé wọ́n ò fẹ́ bẹ́ẹ̀. wọ́n fowó bẹ́ẹ̀ Máyégún ó sọ pé wọ́n ò bẹ́ẹ̀ oníkanṣá ti ṣe èyí tó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe fáwọn ará ìlú tó gbé wọn débẹ̀ o àyè.
Máyégún ti dé gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀ súnra kì. Máyégún ti dé gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀ súnra kì. Ṣùgbọ́n ní má ti ṣe yìí tó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe ọmọ bá dẹ́rọ̀ ò ní fi wọ́n níran.
Ha! Kì máa yí ṣe eré ọ̀rọ̀ yìí kì í ṣe ẹ̀fẹ̀. Kì máa yí ṣe eré ọ̀rọ̀ yìí kì í ṣe ẹ̀fẹ̀. Ẹni bá ti lè lẹ́bọ̀ lẹ́rù o ọmọ bá dèrò kàṣàyè tú wọn síta.
Máyégún ti dé gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀ súnra kì. Máyégún ti dé gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀ súnra kì. Ṣùgbọ́n ní bá ti ṣe yìí tó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe ọmọ bá dẹ́rọ̀ ò ní fi wọ́n níran.
Tẹnitẹni ọmọ Máyégún ọ̀rẹ́ ara ìlú mọ̀mọ́ ni mo fọlọ́run sọ ẹ̀ bá kìlẹ́bù lóòótọ́ olódodo ìlú ọ̀tá ìlú mọ̀mọ́ ni ìwọ ṣá máa ń ṣọ́ra kò sì mọ́ bẹ̀rù bọ́tà ń lè rí bóníṣègùn lé káwọn mọ̀mọ́ fi ṣera wọn ni ó ti dẹrùn tí wọn ò gbọ́dọ̀ sì mọ́ bẹ̀. èèpo ọ̀bọ lọmọ bá dérò tàjẹ́ ò gbọ́dọ̀ jẹ́ ó ti jọba lórí àbínú ẹ̀ ni kò sì mọ́ bùyà àìsíwọ́lu ní ẹnìkẹ́ ìgbódì ẹyin lábàrá o ó kó ẹni tó bá dán wò á kàmù. Máyégún ti dé gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀ túnra kì. Máyégún ti dé gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀ túnra kì o. Ẹni bá ti ṣe yìí tó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe ọmọ bá dèrò òní fi wọ́n níran o.
Máyégún ti dé gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀ súnra kì. Máyégún ti dé gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀ súnra kì. Ṣùgbọ́n ní bá ti ṣe yìí tó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe ọmọ bá dẹ́rọ̀ ò ní fi wọ́n níran.